it's way overdue, but I thought I would do my review for The Well, which was last week's episode of Doctor Who, which, well, I mean, you've all seen it now, pretty much, so, you know, I can just talk about it freely. But, yeah, it was a sequel to Midnight, and, yeah, I'm just going to get straight into it, because, you know, with my reviews, I always go off on tangents. That's what I'm known for. But, I've got to say, it was such a strong sequel to Midnight, and I remember when the rumours were circulating and stuff, and I was like, oh, no, please, no, why? But I was pleasantly surprised of how well this was executed. And whilst at some parts, I thought it could have easily just been like a standalone horror episode, but the way it played into Midnight's themes and explored them without taking too much away from the original entity in terms of mystery and stuff, and I'm glad that we kind of got some expansion, but it didn't take away from it. That's something I'm glad. And the way the episode opens up, you know, I'm loving the continuity between each episode, which I hope this week's episode doesn't, you know, take away from. But I'm glad that there's continuity between all of the episodes, which I think is fantastic. You know, the way they all play off each other. It's a nice little story arc that's going on, which I think is really good. But yeah, literally the Doctor and Belinda dive into action with the space troopers, and from the moment that they arrive on that planet and we get the whole the lowdown of the fact that the colony base, something's been killing them and stuff, and there's been like no contact, no life signs, that sort of thing. I'm like, ooh, it's a bit eerie. And then the moment they set on the base and they encounter all the bodies and stuff, it did remind me of Alien, pretty much like the Alien franchise. And I would compare Midnight and The Well. So Midnight was Alien, and then The Well was Aliens, because the creature was more aggressive, there was a lot more violence, without obviously going like too graphic and stuff, but it was just such a dark episode, which I really enjoyed. And I feel like, personally for me, Doctor Who is at its best when it sheds those darker moments. It shows them, it throws them out at you, which I think Doctor Who has needed for a while. You know, it hasn't done a dark episode like that in a long time. While Blue Yonder was kind of there as well, but The Well just kind of takes all of that and just throws it at you, which is crazy. So the performance-wise, I've got to say that the cast were on point. I mean, Ncuti was fantastic as the Doctor, which I, to be honest, I've really enjoyed his performance throughout this episode, throughout the series so far. Verita Sethu as Belinda Chandra, she was absolutely fantastic as well. I thought she knocked it out the park. And also, Rose Ayling-Ellis as Alice, the mother who is trying to leave the base and get home, who is kind of fallen victim to the entity. I mean, there's a bunch of fan speculation online, which is something I really love about this episode, how there's loads of fan theories already. And I hope Russell does take note when it comes to that. But yeah, her performance, Rose's performance, was absolutely fantastic. Like, I was captivated by it. It was so intriguing. Like, I wanted to like learn more about the character, and yeah, just the way that she played off from like the horrified mother angle, whilst also appearing to be a little bit sinister as well, was really fantastic. Now, for the rest of the space troopers, I've got to say, character-wise, whilst they were like generic space marines, there was enough characterization to get me to root for some of them, and also be like, no, you're literally going to end up getting killed anyway. Like, whatever. And yeah, it was just a nice little dynamic, I guess, really. Now, getting back onto the plot. Now, I've got to say, the ending I've spoken about plenty of times on the channel, but I really like the way that it kept things open, because that's the thing with something as mysterious as the Midnight Entity. When you're making a sequel to Midnight, you don't want to take away from the mystery, and that's what this episode does. It doesn't take away too much from the mysterious side of things. The mystery is still there, but there's a little bit of expansion. You get a little glimpse of shadows and stuff of the entity, and it's there lurking in the shadows, but you don't see too much, which is good. But overall, I would say that the ending definitely is something that I did enjoy. Would I want another follow-up? Probably not. Or maybe leave it as long as you did with Midnight. Maybe do it like in the next decade or something, perhaps. But it was very intriguing, and I feel like, yeah, the fact that the entity is alluded to be out there again, it's not confirmed. It's very exciting. But overall, I would give this episode a 10 out of 10. It was perfect on everything. Like, honestly, the horror factor, the casting, and the acting and stuff, like the dynamics worked really well. The fear factor was through the roof. Like, I actually got chills whilst watching that episode. I've rewatched it a few times now as well, and it still holds up really well. And the whole reveal, getting to the fact that the planet used to be Midnight, was well played off. But yeah, let me know what you think of the episode in the comment section down below. And obviously, yeah, subscribe with notifications turned on because we are getting another episode of Doctor Who tomorrow. Lucky day, which I cannot wait. I'm going to be doing theories, all of that cool stuff, reactions, and it's going to be exciting. But yeah, I'll see you all next time. Thank you very much for all the support. Take care, and goodbye for now.